All right, we're streaming.
You're not
Venezuela,
visible to me.
and we just so you understand, the people of Venezuela. They say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language, and I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president.
Yep. President Trump. Yep, President Trump for president of Venezuela. Okay,
I
guys.
think he has a business plan there.
Well,
President for hire.
look, there's never going to be a president like Donald Trump. Like it's insane, the high bar that he's set. Now we're going to be jumping into this live stream. This is an earlier live stream than we usually have. Sorry guys, if you're catching this on the replay and you are planning on watching the live stream much later in the evening. It's a Friday evening, and we figured, okay, we need to do this earlier so that I can go hang out with family. Now, tonight we're going to be looking at several things. Of course, the title of this live stream is that the Democrats are caught in massive fraud, and we're going to have some Trump updates laced in between. Fetterman essentially sat with Fox News, and he's exposing the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. We're going to talk about the fraud in California, as the AG of California claims that they've been fighting fraud for years and that the Trump administration is politicizing it. Well, we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be exposing the lie in that statement that he made. Nancy Mace says she's seen the list, the Epstein list, and there's a disturbing revelation that she makes, or she gives during that conversation that she has. And then Chris Cuomo, I keep mixing them up. Chris Cuomo essentially loses his mind on his own show when he's confronted with some of the facts about the Iran war and the Democrats' narrative on it. And we're going to be going over into Pete Buttigieg's statement this afternoon, I think.
Weaselback.
Oh no, he's claiming that the Biden economy was amazing. It was fantastic. It was the best thing in the world, and that the inflation due to the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is a complete catastrophe and nothing like what they had under the Biden administration. He was fact-checked in real time on live TV. And then finally, we're going to be looking at Eric Swalwell's amazing situation. He's planning to run for governor, and suddenly there's been a slew of women who are essentially coming out of the woodwork accusing him of sexually assaulting them. And it's an amazing story. So we're going to go through this together. Remember, you're free to post your comments in the chat. We will read all of your messages as you post them, okay? And please make them common sense messages, okay? If you post anything that doesn't make sense, well, we're just going to mention that you did so and ignore you, because we try to be very intentional about who we give a platform to. So we'll start with Fetterman. Let's jump right in.
Well, one, I would just like to just start by saying, I think what our military's accomplished is profound and significant and important. I mean, it has effectively destroyed its capabilities and destroyed its Navy, and they really haven't been able to really put a glove on us through this entire Epic Fury campaign. And furthermore, I would like to remind people too, every single Democrat running for president and every single Democrat in the Senate said we can never allow them to acquire a nuclear weapon. And
yeah, they did.
We want to talk about a war crime.
That was
Iran is a 47-year-old war crime, what they continue to behave. So
yeah, so I remember that when all of this started, I said it, you said it, and it appears that the Democrats conveniently leave the point out that Iran has been on a war footing with America for 47 years. I said it at the very beginning of this entire conflict. And news media, left-wing news media, loves to avoid pointing this out.
You know, as a Democrat, I supported what President Trump did, to actually call Iran accountable. And I think it's been successful. As you've discussed, and I agree, it's not finished yet, but now where we are now, we are 38 days into it. I mean, the Ukrainian war is in over 4 years. All these other kinds of conflicts are years. We're not even for 40 days yet. So where are we at right now? Yes, it's like if you make these kinds of let's go for the 25th Amendment, and then then we have a ceasefire. Then it's like taco. I mean, like you can't have it both ways. I mean, so where we are, it's like strange to be gleeful that that we still have to accomplish some things and make these kinds of statements. I mean, I'm old enough to remember we used to root for our military.
That is true.
And we would all agree that Iran is the world's leading terrorism underwriter. I mean, they are the part of the evil empire. I mean, remember what Iran's done. They underwritten 10/7. They have killed thousands of Americans over the near 5 decades. Like where we are right now, yeah, we have to finish it out without a doubt. But where we are now, as the first president to actually do something about it and remind, that's why I'll be the only Democrat that support this.
Yeah, so that's John Fetterman, and he's just saying common sense things. And you sent me this video, and I figured, we should open with this because the Democrat hypocrisy has been off the charts since Trump came down the escalator. Everything that Democrats had been talking about for years, Trump talked about building a wall and closing the border. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, all the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, they all talked about shutting down the border. As soon as an outsider came in and won the election, and on the same policies that they've been talking about for years, they all lost it and went the other way. And they essentially exposed themselves.
So when they were talking about shutting down the border, they were facing the American people saying, oh, we need to shut down the border. We need to do something about illegal immigration, which they changed illegal aliens to illegal immigration to make it softer.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, while they were speaking those words, the border was wide open. They were tying the hands of the border patrols to not do anything about people crossing the border, except very hurriedly process them and ship them out.
And claimed that the border was closed. And anyone who pointed out that the border was open, you're a troublemaker, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a far-right agitator. Like, they come up with these labels when you're calling them out on something that we can all see with our own 2 eyes.
But that's like, you can do a search in federal law for illegal immigrant. You will find 0.
Yeah.
Because that terminology is not in our federal laws. You cannot be an illegal immigrant because an immigrant goes through a process to gain permission to walk across the border.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you can research in there that would get you illegally crossing the border is illegal aliens.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different deliveries to somebody being caught crossing that border illegally. First time, fine. It's like $50.
Yeah.
6 months in jail, deported, and the 4th thing is a 2-year ban on coming back legally. The second offense is a much more expensive fine, up to a year in jail, deported, and banned from coming back for 10 years. The 3rd time you're caught, more jail time, more fines, and a forever ban on you're never allowed to come back to America.
Yeah.
So them calling this a misdemeanor act is ridiculous.
It's a lie. That's what it is. It's just a plain
It's
lie.
not like driving down the street and getting a speeding ticket, people. So, and it's a federal law. How can a federal law be a misdemeanor?
It's fascinating how we've watched the Democrats redefine words. They
You've got to
redefined
watch their
illegal-
terminology.
yeah, illegal alien became illegal immigrant, and then undocumented immigrant, and then undocumented person. Like, they keep changing the meaning of words in order to deflect from the fact that crimes are being committed. Let's take another word that they recently are trying to redefine: civilization.
Yeah.
Civilization doesn't mean people, groups of people walking down the street. Okay, that's not what civilization means. The word civilization means a way of doing things, a way of life.
Civilizations have rose and fell, and they're defined by being Mayan, Aztec, Roman, Greek,
Yeah,
and that's a civilization. The people didn't disappear,
exactly.
just the way they were doing things did. They left the cities. They went elsewhere. They dispersed. They stopped doing what they were doing.
Yeah. And when we heard the news media and these influencers and washed out politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene running around all week screaming that Trump threatened to kill millions of people because he said we will destroy or end your civilization, they simply self-selected themselves into the category of left-wing media, because that's what left-wing media has been doing for years. They take something that Trump says, they take something that they take a word, and then they make it mean something else and try to convince us that that's what it means. And very soft-brained people, I hope that's not an insult, but when people react to these statements that are being made by a dishonest news media, very dishonest influencers, and left-wing pundits, and they react instantly to those redefinitions of words without doing their own research, I guess they're soft-brained, and everyone is just reacting and claiming that MAGA is fracturing, and there's nothing that could be further from the truth. So that's something
the word civilization, they can confuse people with it by people thinking civil and civilian.
Yeah.
Civilization. And all three of them are different things. And that's what people don't get.
It all goes back to the educational system. The educational system has been wrecked by by Marxists, so that people who go through the educational system come out even less educated.
Yep.
You go in knowing that there's a difference between a boy and a girl. Daddy is a boy, mommy is a girl. And then by the time you come out the other side of the educational system, you have 50,000 different genders, and you're told that a daddy can give birth.
And you can't even define what is a woman.
Yeah, so let's jump into the next story, because we've spent enough time on this story. So John Fetterman essentially exposing the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party, and they don't like it. And there are people who have watched the happenings of this week, And they have thoroughly convinced themselves that the Democrats are right, and the influencers who have essentially betrayed all the conservatives who backed them, who made them rich. Okay, Megyn Kelly, you were made rich because conservatives watched your show, even though you had a very checkered career with Fox News. You supported things on your shows, and when it was time to pander to the conservatives, you said the right words, you dressed appropriately, you had the right guests on, you supported the right policies, and the conservatives fell for it as per usual. Well, the mask is off, and now most of us are saying, okay, we're done following these people. If they're willing to burn the house down, they're willing to cut off their nose to spite their face. We don't want such people representing the conservative movement, and we're going to be seeing more of this in the weeks to come. Let's jump forward before we.
Am I the only one though that has noticed that Megyn Kelly's studio background is a contribute to Taylor Swift?
I did not know that.
You need to really look at it.
That's weird. Okay, so if you've noticed, let's know in the chat. If you're watching for the first time and you like what you're hearing, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing the video. Please consider also supporting us with a super chat or joining the membership. The QR code is right there on the screen. But you don't need to send a super chat.
Right back, I've got a visitor.
All right, not a problem. You don't have to give a super chat for your chat to be read. So feel free to let us know your thoughts in the chat. All right, so we're going to be moving forward with the next story. This is California. There's a crackdown of on fraud in California, of course, exposed by Nick Shirley. Let's jump into this interview.
There's dozens of young, just hyper prepared individuals. There were drones and planes and these trucks that could drive through gates that they were able to blast through, and no one got hurt. And they stunned these folks in pre-dawn hours, and they were one of 7 hospice owners that were shut down yesterday. To put that in perspective, in the prior 4 years, the governor of California had shut down 4 hospices. We shut down 7 in one night. And I'll get news for you today, Brett. Let's announce and make it clear, everybody, we've shut down already, just in the last 10 weeks, 221 hospices.
Okay, so I need us to go back and listen to what Dr. Oz just said, because it bears reference, because we're going to be listening to what the AG of California says. And of course, with these people, everything is Trump's fault. Okay, they've been dealing with fraud, but the fact that the feds came in and shut down over 100 fraudulent hospice care centers is Trump's fault. The fraud is Trump's fault. They've been doing all of this great for years, but now that they're failing, is Trump's fault. Let's listen to what Dr. Oz says again.
There were drones and planes and these trucks that could drive through gates that they were able to blast through, and no one got hurt. And they stunned these folks in pre-dawn hours, and they were one of 7 hospice owners that were shut down yesterday. To put that in perspective, in the prior 4 years, the governor of California had shut down 4 hospices.
In 4 years, the governor of California shut down 4 hospices. Yesterday alone, there were 7 arrests. Let's keep going.
We shut down 7 in one night. And I'll get news for you today, Brett. Let's announce and make it clear, everybody, we've shut down already, just in the last 10 weeks, 221 hospices.
221 hospices shut down by the Trump administration in California over the last 10 weeks. California has only shut down 4 in 4 years. And you're going to watch the AG shortly claim that they've been fighting corruption long before we're going to come back to Dr. Oz, but let's hear the AG make his case.
I'll tell you more about this scheme and the criminal operation here. Operation Skip Trace was initially kicked off by a tip from California DHCS, Department of Healthcare Services, of a tip of alleged hospice fraud at 14 companies. DOJ's DMFEA, the Division of Medical Fraud and Elder Abuse, my team, investigated those 14 companies, plus a billing company, and 8 individuals suspected of money laundering. We found that those involved in this fraud, in this scheme, would purchase personal identifying information for people who live outside of California on the dark web, and then enroll them into covered California, posing as California residents. Straw owners then bought up a number of hospice companies and began billing Medi-Cal for non-existent services for those stolen identities.
So this is the kind of fraud that was happening in California. They're posing in front of the cameras, pretending like they knew this all along. They had it well in hand. They knew what they were doing, but they shut down only 4 in 4 years. And the Trump administration just shut down 210 in the last 10 weeks. Let's keep listening to Dr. Oz. Let's know your thoughts in the chat.
In California.
Oh, wait, in the state of California, 220.
Yeah, in Los Angeles. That'd have been the state, in Los Angeles. So we're able to dramatically accelerate a process that had been meandering along in California. And we believe that there are 1,800 hospices in California. That's, by the way, about a third of the entire nation's hospice load is just in Los Angeles. We're going to be able to shut down, we hope, appropriately, half of them.
We saw what happened in Minnesota. Now we're seeing the tip of the iceberg in California. Every time we see a fraud bust like this, it's framed as kind of bad actors, and that it's happening on such a large scale because the system allows for it. What incentives inside Medicare and Medicaid are actually enabling this kind of systemic issue? It's obviously been going on for years, right?
Well, part of it is that government had been fragmented in its approach. So yesterday, the U.S. Attorney, Billy Asaili, led the charge. He got the Office of Inspector General, the Department of Justice. He got everyone working together. We're bringing in Scott Besson in Treasury because guess what? Bank fraud's a big part of this. And we've also got a problem that's even larger, I think, in that we had told people in the federal government for the last 4 years, under the Biden administration, don't do your job. Literally, we told people who were in charge of fraud that they should just sort of calm down. We don't want to have a big problem with this. This is not a legitimate issue. We just enroll people. We kept score in Medicare and Medicaid.
Now, please let me know in the comment section or in the chat, okay? All of the people that have been caught, arrested for the fraud in California, how many of these people are immigrants? How many of them are immigrants? How many of them are people who you would say match the profile of what we've been seeing over the last few months with the fraud in Minnesota and so on? Because whenever you see the government saying, look the other way, it becomes an optics problem. They don't want these arrests because it makes them look bad. It makes the government look bad, and they want these people to just keep doing what they're doing, and the government should simply look the other way. Because you know what? It's taxpayer money. They're losing your money, and they don't care because, hey, it makes them look good that the wrong people are not being arrested. Who's the wrong people? People who aren't white. Those are the wrong people. Okay. That's how you get a California arresting only 4 criminal organizations, or shutting down 4 criminal organizations in 4 years.
And looking at how many people were in the program, as opposed to were the right people in the program. And let's extend that now to autism. So what happened in Minnesota is they would pay moms to dishonestly say their children had autism. Brett, if you have a child in a neighborhood that's autistic and needs support, it's expensive and it's worth the investment. We should do it. It's the right thing. But if every child in the neighborhood is autistic, then no one really is getting those services. So you take scarce resources and funding and you now stretch it out. But here's the biggest message I can deliver tonight. This is critical. If these corrupt fraudsters are willing to steal your money, they will steal your health. They'll steal your life.
And honestly, that's one of the things that people are concerned about. This is Medicaid fraud, healthcare fraud, And if they're willing to commit fraud with things as important as Medicaid and healthcare, which the Democrats say is such a big, important issue, why won't they back this president who is dealing with the waste, fraud, and abuse? Why? Why would they attack him, claiming that he is throwing old ladies and old people out of healthcare? Meanwhile, the problem really is that there's such massive fraud that there are people who've been dead for years who are still being paid or who are still registered under Medicaid and Medicare. So the Democrats, yet again, being exposed as fraudulent. Their AG blaming the Trump administration and essentially claiming that they've been dealing with the issue for years, that the Trump administration is politicizing this as a big problem. But Dr. Oz is telling us that only four hospice care businesses have been shut down in 4 years by the Newsom administration in California. So I don't know about you, but that doesn't look good. That doesn't smell right. It doesn't pass the smell test. So let's move on to the next story. We've had all of the noise going on about the Epstein files. The Epstein files were the big bad that the Democrats kept screaming for months. And then the Iran war started. They said that the Iran war was a distraction from the Epstein files. Now that the Iran war is ending, the Epstein files are now a distraction from the Iran war. So it's just crazy how they twist themselves into a pretzel to try to deflect from real issues that the Trump administration is winning on. Now, this is a different report, however. Nancy Mace is doing an interview with Piers Morgan, and here's what she has to say about what she discovered about the Epstein list.
You would be shocked, Piers, that some of the names that I have seen that came across the DOJ in emails that the DOJ is protecting. And we're talking about people on both sides of the aisle. We're talking about famous people, rich people, people in power, prime ministers, former presidents, et cetera, media personalities that are named in these files. And that's why I say this is going to go down as the greatest cover-up, one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. And I don't believe the girls are actually going to see justice, which is why it's going to be incumbent upon people like Democrat Ro Khanna, Republican Thomas Massey. I'm a Republican myself who's willing to name some of those names in our committee work, on the floor of the House, whatever it takes, because this kind of thing cannot continue to go on. I want to give the next girl hope that when she comes forward, she won't be shamed. Her life won't be smeared in the Daily Mail or whatever the next press, is going to do. What they do to female victims and to children is disgusting because they're protecting their rich and powerful friends. But you'd be surprised, shocked even at some of the names in the file.
So Nancy Mace is insinuating that, yes, there's a cover-up. And I said that there would be a cover-up. I said that months ago, but not in the sense that the mainstream media is putting it, because I always knew that there would be international figures, powerful people in the world that will be on that list. Many of them from the Gulf states, and shaming them internationally would not be a good thing for negotiating with them, about the economy or making deals with them going forward. I felt that would be one of the reasons why these names would be, hidden. I also mentioned that there would be names from both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. I've said this for a long time. So her saying it right now is disturbing. Yes, I would say it's disturbing that it appears that there will be no justice for the people who were truly harmed by the activities of Jeffrey Epstein. I would also say that not all the women who are being labeled as victims are actually victims. Some of them turned around and began to recruit girls for the Epstein arrangement, let me call it that. So this is a very convoluted and complex situation that oversimplifying it as just being a cover-up that the Trump DOJ is doing is actually being very extreme. Nancy Mace has a platform that she's riding. She's a politician. She has a platform that she's riding, being a survivor of being abused, and she takes it personally, and it colors everything she says and everything she does. Granted, she's a politician who's trying to get votes. She's trying to build a base around this identity, and she's doing a good job of it. But we also need to, we need to be able to have a full view of what's going on. She said some disturbing things. She said what I've been saying for a long time, that it's unlikely that people will actually face justice. Melania Trump gave a speech last night. We played the speech. She's calling on a hearing where all of the victims would address the Senate or address Congress, and their testimonies be entered permanently into the record. I don't think any of this is going to happen. What do you think, Patricia?
Well, number one, painting a woman who was 18 years old and approached to date rich, influential men and having the choice of saying, yeah, I'll do that, or no, I don't want nothing to do with that, as a victim is ridiculous. In my opinion, 100% from a woman's viewpoint, those girls had a choice. And they weren't girls, they were young women. I haven't seen the proof that any of them were minors. There hasn't, and if there were minors involved, that would be automatic statutory rape. There wouldn't be a question of anybody testifying about it. So I have a big problem with what they're wanting done with this, because like I said when this first came about, ain't nobody going to jail if one of those women don't file a lawsuit and charges against the people.
Yep.
And if nobody's going to jail, why do you need the information on it? And Trump was right to hold that stuff back and keep it from causing further damage that isn't going to amount to a hill of beans. Why do it?
Yep.
So I don't agree with having a hearing, because you have to remember back to the hearings involving Trump with women and the false accusations made and the mess it made. So, and for that point, I would look at the Democrats and say, well, if you're so concerned about that, why didn't you go after Bill Clinton for Paula Jones? And even for Monica Lewinsky. Same thing happened there. And I said, no, there is never going to be anybody else to go to jail over Epstein.
Yeah.
Period.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. And guys, powerful people hardly get prosecuted properly in the court of law because they're too powerful. They are too connected. That's the way the world is, and it's always been that way. It's always been that way.
And
now,
any defense lawyer will be able to rip those women apart on the stand.
Yeah.
What benefits did you get from doing this?
And let's remind everyone that if this is going to work, there's going to be exposure, there's going to be trials, there's going to be these women who have claimed victim status coming out to testify. There's going to be a bunch of them who will say that they fear for their lives because the men that they are testifying against are too powerful. They don't want to wind up like Virginia Giuffre. This is going to fall apart. And you know what's going to happen? Everyone is going to come back to say, well, it didn't happen because the Trump administration didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the sun doesn't set tomorrow, it's the Trump administration's fault. There's a way the world works. There's a way powerful people protect themselves. And if you don't want to see it and understand it, okay, you're always going to be a pawn of very shady media outlets and politicians. I can say
they
I
would
agree.
have to show me exactly how the Epstein operation got carried out.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you it wasn't a gun held to those girls' heads. They weren't put in chains and locked in a room.
No, they were willing participants and they were adults. If there were people who were younger, those are the people that, yes, okay, fine. Those are the real victims. Those are, if they were trafficked, if they were children, by all means, prosecute away. Okay, but the question we'll always ask is this going to see the light of day? I don't think so. All right, so let's look, when you become president, okay, if there's anyone out there who is screaming that the Trump administration isn't doing enough, when you become president, go in there, find all the evidence and publish it for the world to see. Okay, when you become president. That's not the way international diplomacy works. So Prince Andrew was only taken down because Virginia Giuffre stepped forward and exposed him. And where is she today? That sent a signal to everyone. Look, Prince Andrew had been taken down, but the people left on that list sent a very clear message with Virginia. So there's nobody talking. So let's just leave it alone. So all the people saying that an Epstein victim sent them a message after the First Lady made her speech, feeling very disturbed by the First Lady's speech, that's all performative. It's all performative. It's all about making the Trump administration look bad, making the Trump family look bad. Is the Trump family perfect? They're not. Is the Trump administration 100 over 100 in everything it executes on? No. And pretending that any other group is 100 over 100 is hypocrisy. And that's what we're going to be seeing with this exchange between Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly. It's interesting, and let's just have a listen to this exchange, and you let us know your thoughts in the chat.
Years.
All right, look.
That's the context.
You can believe what you want to believe, but
no,
I'm
Bill.
believing his
just
words.
Just say I'm corrected. Let's move on. And
I'm not going to say that because it wouldn't be true. You made the mistake, and this is the quote.
I did not make a mistake.
All right, then
go ahead.
Keep quiet for a second.
No, it's my show, pal. If you don't like it, you can go.
don't want me to read the quote because it's going to make you look foolish.
Read it.
Read it. Here's the quote.
Don't point. Be a man. Don't be a big mouth. Read it.
Margaret Brennan. This is a quote that Grassi gave her. One, most notably, the inventory of enriched uranium at 60%, which is very close to the degree you need to make a bomb. That's what the man said. Now, where did he get his information?
He said more than that. He said, well, first of all, that's a good question. I'll give you that one. That one's not some ham-fisted, opportunistic judgment.
He got it from Mossad and the American intel agencies.
No, that's not what he says. He says they still have their own surveillance mechanisms. It's just been broken down over time, and that they haven't had any real eyes on the situation for years, which is why no one really knows, Bill. I know they have things. We just don't know how much. And it doesn't really matter because they're saying they won't stop.
Okay, so this exchange goes on and on. Eventually, Chris has to kick Bill O'Reilly off his show because he doesn't agree with the facts that Bill O'Reilly is presenting.
That I just. Lord have mercy.
Okay, he was just presented with the facts that an inspector says Iran does have enriched uranium, and the quantity is concerning. And he doesn't want to hear it. He's talking over Bill O'Reilly. He's interrupting him. He's like, look, if you're having a conversation and you don't want to hear the facts, okay, that's what you do. You talk over people. Like for me, subconsciously, if I hear someone speaking, I keep quiet. Like it's a subconscious trigger for me. If I'm speaking with my wife and my kids start talking, I shut down and I wait for everything to be silent. That's how civilized culture works. Because you need to communicate.
One thing I noticed about Megan and Chris, they both think that Mossad and the CIA have no operatives in Iran. No clear idea what's going on there whatsoever or who's doing what. And they're idiots when they do that. Because we know that the CIA is in full operation in Iran and has been for a very long time. That Mossad has been there for a very long time. And I will guarantee you that MI5 is there. That Russia has operatives there, and even China. Because that's what countries do. They spy on each other. That's how they gather their intelligence. So when these people come off and act like, well, I know more than blah, 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 and it's wrong. These reports are coming out of Iran by people who have observed it, seen it, and know it.
All right. So now let's talk about Pete Buttigieg, because I just want to link these two, because when it comes to facts, it seems like people on the left are just immune to facts. They're immune to facts. You present them with facts. It's almost like kryptonite. It's either kryptonite or they're immune to it. It doesn't affect them, or they feel repulsed by it. Here's Pete Buttigieg making a very interesting claim about inflation and the Biden economy.
There's no obvious way out now, but I want to make sure that this ends in a way that, first of all, our economy can recover, that we're not paying so much for gas. I mean, right now, oil's $100. Jet fuel's $200. Gas is over $4. Diesel's like $5.50. You averaged $3.80 under Biden for 4 years. And when we left, inflation was lower than it is today.
You accounted for 21.5% pricing.
This president took the inflation rate up. This president took the inflation rate up.
It's 2.7%.
It's more than 3% year on year. You saw the numbers just come out. It's more than 3% year on year.
Okay.
Isn't it? Am I mistaken?
It is. The math is direct.
Yeah.
The math is the math.
Look, it
fluctuates each month from 2.7 to 3%.
It's higher than when he got here, Joe.
It's not 9%.
His central campaign promise was he was going to take inflation and drive it down, and instead he took inflation.
It
was 3 when he got here, and now it's more. It could not be simpler than that.
It's around 3, and we're involved in a war.
He said on day one it would go down. He came in on day one, and now it's up.
You see, this is what's called a bad faith conversation. It's a bad faith conversation. He's being presented with the facts. It's been fluctuating from 2.7 to 3 over the last few months. Only because there's been a war in the last month, it has changed. Pete Buttigieg just doesn't want to hear it. As far as he's concerned, Trump promised that inflation would go down. Look, it's up. But there's a war for the last 3 weeks. No, it's up. It was 2.7 to 3. It ranged from that, while yours held steady at 3.8 during your time. No, he promised that it'll be down, but it's up. It's just typical leftist debating tactics.
The only thing they missed in this whole exchange is, do people remember how much eggs were costing? How much bacon had raised in price? How much chicken had gone up? What was the rise of cost of beef? And all of that happened under Biden.
Yep.
The essentials of being able to survive went through the damn roof. People were maxing out their credit cards to buy groceries. And if people have forgot what that was like, just ask the people who are still trying to pay those credit cards off. Yeah.
They're counting on you guys who are watching to forget.
Be ignorant and stupid and uninformed.
Well, it's what, look, if you're listening to us, and most of the people who listen to us are between the ages of 45 and 65, so clearly you were aware of what was going on over the Biden years. It's all about remembering how it was under the Biden years, remembering how it's been all the way leading up to February of this year, before March, where the war started, and understanding that there's a cost to war, and the United States is paying it.
And I still don't understand the jump in oil prices in America, since our oil is not going through the Hormuz Strait.
Well, I don't think the United States
oil from there.
I think part of the problem with inflation is that the products that are being imported that are not tariffed are affected by the increase in price of fuel. So there's a cascading effect that affects other things that are not tariffed. They go up in price, and that is just a general blanket average inflation of goods and services across the board. It's not that it's the increase in oil that's affecting fuel, but there are other things that are adding up that makes that a thing. Plus, the uncertainty in the oil and gas market affects prices. If there's certainty of supply, it kind of affects the price of gas. But if there's a war, and the Gulf states that are essentially the backup plan for North America, it means that if America is producing a certain volume of oil, there's going to be a plan for all these companies to hold back on pushing all of their supply into the market in case there's a global shortage, and they need to have enough to sell. So there are a lot of forces that come up that affect the price of gas at the pump. It's not just we're supplying everything, therefore we should have everything. There's so many levers to be pushed, and that's why the economy is such a complex beast that anyone who thinks that a government, and I'm talking to people who are buying into the socialist and communist doctrine of the government controlling prices, anyone who buys into that doesn't understand that no government has the power to effectively control or dictate how the economy works. Only capitalism has the ability to do that. Supply, demand, what each person is willing to pay for goods and services. It's such a complex beast that me even talking about this, I'm surprised at how much I know about it, because I've been listening to economists for years trying to understand how this works. And even at that, I'm still learning. It's supply and demand. and then there are different levers in between.
I do know that exporting our oil would cause oil prices to jump.
Yeah. That's
But
it.
I also know that my coffee prices have went up due to tariffs on Colombia. Now, do I want those tariffs removed? No. I would rather pay higher prices for coffee and stop the spread of fentanyl than drink a cheap cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's it. If that's what it cost us to get rid of fentanyl in this country, more power to it.
All right. Before we jump to the next story, and the next story is a doozy, believe me. Yeah, Eric Swalwell is in the news, but not in a good way for him. Please remember, you can subscribe, like, and share. Hit the like button so that YouTube kind of shares the video with people just like you, and manually share it with your family and friends. Plus, when you support us by sending a super chat, a super thank, or joining the membership using the QR code on the screen, or going to the channel and joining the membership, it helps us to keep the lights on. It encourages us to say, hey, we believe in what you're doing and we want to support you. So now we'd like you to go ahead and make that move. Eric Swalwell is having a hard time. Eric Swalwell has, been very vocal about certain things, and we're going to look at a few of them. But a bunch of women have been very vocal about Eric Swalwell lately. So let's listen to this report.
Swalwell responds to sexual misconduct allegations leveled against him. Those allegations reportedly surround direct messages and Snapchat messages that are potentially criminal conduct, according to Democrat activist Cheyenne Hunt. The activist accused Swalwell of inappropriate conduct involving employees, interns, and fans, saying he acted as a mentor just to exploit that power. This comes after Hunt came forward in a series of TikToks saying a close friend is one of Swalwell's alleged victims, and they are working to get other stories out there.
But the first person who approached me with their story was a close personal friend of mine. Then, once I started digging into it and I found that there were a number of other women whose stories matched the same pattern of manipulation and abuse of power, I knew that I couldn't stay silent, because these women needed to know that if they came forward, there was a group of people that would have their back.
Swalwell's spokesperson said that the allegations are entirely false and being spread to help, quote, MAGA conspiracy theorists defeat him in the upcoming election.
So a Democrat activist is working for MAGA. Like, these guys have quite the imagination. And before we talk about this, here's Eric Swalwell talking about Justice Kavanaugh when allegations were made about him. Have a listen.
I saw continued demeaning of victims of sexual assault, people who deserve to be heard, who deserve for their allegations to be investigated. For Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what, bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent, and if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him.
Oh, isn't that nice? So when it comes to you, it's a MAGA conspiracy. But when it comes to someone you don't like, it's demeaning, it's one thing or the other, and you hope that this is investigated to the fullest extent.
Oh, he misses his girlfriend. Woo-woo is in China and he can't see her.
Yeah, so Swalwell just doesn't seem to be able to keep it in his pants. So this story is one of those hypocritical pieces that we see that runs, and look, we see it with the Democrat Party a lot.
This is not on the level of a president. Swalwell cannot direct the FBI or the CIA or the military to take action against the women he abused.
Yeah.
So their fear factor is way down here for exposing him.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that the audio had gone through. I was wondering because of the incident from yesterday.
It's going well.
Yeah, it is. Now, leave your thoughts in the comment section or in the chat because, this story is indicative of, again, Democrat hypocrisy. Am I saying that the Republicans don't have skeletons in their closets? They do. We've seen a few of them come out. And you know what happens? Conservatives call them out and we expect them to be, to face justice for whatever misbehavior they've engaged in. But Democrats have no shame. They have no shame.
You also need to realize that Republicans will not only call them out, but wait for the evidence to be produced.
Yeah.
And Democrats will convict without evidence.
Yeah. Like he was asking here for in the case of Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
It's the hypocrisy we've seen again and again for years. Okay, believe all women when it comes to someone you don't like or someone you don't support. But when it comes to you, it's a conspiracy and it's being controlled by MAGA. So this lady over here who is a Democrat who essentially is doing it because the people who have been affected by his recklessness are coming forward. And I'm hearing that the numbers are increasing.
And so there's one main thing that just caught my eye, and I want to know why a man who associated with the Chinese spy is on the intelligence committee.
Again, that's the corruption that we've been talking about with respect to Congress.
That's ridiculous.
Now, if this was a Republican, if this was a Republican who was caught with a Chinese spy, do you think they would still be in
office? Let's face it, they would have run them out of DC.
It's just crazy. Okay, it's crazy.
Shoot far, we would have run them out of DC.
All right, it's Friday and we started this live stream much earlier. I had my concerns that most of us who are regulars on the live stream would have been waiting for it to come up later, and even though I would have loved to kind of wait till later, I just needed to take our time and hang out with the fam. So we've covered all of these stories. If you're watching after the fact, what do you think? What do you think about the story that we covered with Fetterman calling out the Democrats and essentially saying, look, the world is safer since Trump did what he did with Iran. And this is the same thing that every Democrat presidential candidate has run on for decades. Why is it that now someone is doing something about it? They are now a threat to humanity. That is crazy. We've talked about the situation in California. The AG claims that they've been dealing with crime for years. However, the records show that in the last 4 years, they've only closed down 4 illegal hospices. Meanwhile, the feds got in there and in 10 weeks, they closed down 220 illegal hospices. And
if you watch Nick Shirley's videos, he went into one place and there was dozens of them all set up in one building.
Yep. So it's all fraud. They've been the Democrats have been protecting this. they've been fun. And here's our suspicion, Patricia and I, feel this way, that these fraudulent organizations are a funnel for the Democrat Party to fund their programs. Just like USAID was one of those funnels.
Nope. That's why all at once we started seeing a lot of advertisement on YouTube by Democrats to please send them money.
Yeah, and if you've seen any of those adverts, let us know in the comment section. We also saw Nancy Mace essentially say the names on the list are not just of foreign dignitaries and powerful people internationally. We have people in the Democrat Party and in the Republican Party who are on the list. And Chris
I'll
Cuomo.
tell you what, if Trump was a vicious person, he would have published the whole list.
He would, but the problem with that is, while the Democrat Party is scrambling to do damage control, Trump would damage his relationship with international leaders.
Yep.
And then the Democrats would deflect to say, yeah, we know this person was on the list, but Trump promised that the cost of this would go down and that this would happen and that would happen. But he can't do that because he can't negotiate with people that he's thrown under the bus. So it's a weird game to play. And you know what? Many of us can sit down in our homes and Monday morning quarterback all we want. If you're the one sitting in that chair, listening to those briefings, looking at those pictures, having all the evidence, and you're being asked the question, what do you want to do about this, Mr. President or Madam President? What would you do? Would you have the balls to take the decisions that need to be taken? Do you know the kind of people that exist in this world that presidents have to have assassinated? I'm sorry, it happens. Very evil, dastardly people who are demon possessed, who need to be put down. And as a president, you have to make that call. Are you that kind of person? If you can't do that, sit down and shut up. Listen to what's going on. Listen to the facts. And, just say to yourself, I don't have all the information here. And even if I did, would I be able to make the right call? So we can second guess the president all we want. But the truth is that if you're the one sitting in that chair, would you do a better job?
And don't be an armchair warrior thinking that because you play Call of Duty, you're an expert on war.
Oh, no. No.
Because I've played Call of Duty, and no, it's nowhere near like what really goes on with the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly's confrontation. That was a short palate cleanser, just to show that whenever you have people on the left confronted with facts, they always tend to react the same way. Deflect, deny. When you catch them out, they begin to get very hostile. So
I'm sure why.
Yeah, well, it's just the way they are, because when you can't win by telling lies, when you run into a brick wall of facts, they react to facts that way. We had the inflation hypocrisy where Pete Buttigieg essentially was claiming that the Biden administration's economy was better than the Trump administration's economy, because he claims Trump promised that that inflation would come down, and yes, he fulfilled the promise. Okay, but there's this thing called a war. And when wars are being waged to protect American lives, it affects things like inflation. So that's what tends to happen. And then finally, we closed with Eric Swalwell. All of these are stories that had to come out on this live stream. We just needed to talk about it and find out, just discuss these things. And let's know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's know what you think about all the commentary that we've given to, about these stories. I know that some of you have, sat down to watch after the fact, and we appreciate it. Again, consider subscribing if you haven't. Like the video, share the video, and also consider supporting us with a donation. Super chat, super thank, donate by joining our membership. It helps out a whole lot. Patricia, have anything to say?
Y'all have a great evening.
Yeah, and love your families and love God. God bless you.
Stay prayed up.
Stay prayed up. Good night.
Good night.